What's up, Rad family? Wes Craven was a talented writer, producer, and director that made numerous iconic horror films during his 40-year career. Sadly, Craven passed away late last month. So to pay homage to the man that had such a huge influence on the horror genre, today I'll be sharing a compilation of 20 super interesting facts from a few of his famed titles. So let's get to it. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Number 1. A Nightmare on Elm Street is a cult classic in the horror genre. It has withstood the test of time and still invokes terror in new viewers. But this iconic film only took 30 days to shoot. Principal photography began in June of 1984 and wrapped 4 weeks later in July. And the movie was released in November of the same year. That's quite the rush. Number 2, Nightmare on Elm Street cemented Freddy Krueger's place in horror culture, so you would think the movie would be heavy with Krueger appearances. But shockingly, he was only on screen for a mere 7 minutes. With such little screen time, that's quite the impact he made. Number 3, nothing about this movie is happy. From start to finish, it's a nightmare. After all, the words in the title, but if it were up to Wes Craven, the ending would have been an uplifting one. Apparently, the original script ended with Nancy eventually overcoming the terrorizing Krueger by ceasing to believe in him, then awakening to discover that everything that happened in the movie was just one long, terrible nightmare. The movie ends with her saying goodbye to her mother and driving to school with her friends. But to Craven's dismay, producer Robert Shea wanted a twist ending which would leave the opportunity open for potential sequels. He suggested fooling the audience into thinking Krueger had been defeated, only to reveal in the final scene itself is actually a nightmare, and then end the film with Freddy driving the car away from the house and the kids screaming in terror. Wes Craven absolutely did not like this ending, so 4 endings were reportedly created and 2 were officially filmed. Craven's happy ending, Shea's Freddy ending, and 2 versions of a compromise ending. Though Craven was opposed to the change in the ending, the one they ultimately chose contributed to the movie's success. Number 4, Elm Street is a real place. Well, I should say a completely normal Elm Street was used as inspiration for the completely paranormal Elm Street that was seen in the movie. Before Wes Craven became a famed writer and director, he was a professor at Clarkson University in Potsdam, New York. Near the university, the actual Elm Street can be found. The house the movie was based on is now owned by a fraternity. Number 5, Freddy's rather fashionable sweater is just as well known as the iconic villain himself. But like the ending, the sweater we see in the movie was not the original concept. Craven had developed Krueger wearing a red and yellow sweater instead, but before the movie was made, Craven read in an article that stated the 2 most contrasting color to the human retina were red and green. He then decided to change the sweater to make it stand out more. It's interesting reading how something as simple as a sweater's color could have had a huge impact on the movie. Number 6, Nightmare on Elm Street was released in 1984, but Wes Craven began shopping the idea around movie studios 3 years prior in 1981. But crazily, no one wanted it. Craven said that the script just flew around for 3 years until New Line Cinema finally picked it up. Those movie studios dropped the ball. So moral of the story is, if you truly believe in yourself and your work, never stop trying because you never know what could happen tomorrow. Scream. Number 7, the entirety of Nightmare on Elm Street only took 30 days to complete, but just one scene in Scream took 21 days to finish. The party scene makes up nearly half of the movie, running a whopping 42 minutes long. It was recorded over the course of 3 weeks from sunset to sunrise. After the scene was finally completed, the crew reportedly had t-shirts made that said, "I survived Scene 118, which was the name of the scene. Number 8, many horror films follow a similar pattern, and Scream pokes fun of it by stating the cardinal rules to not dying in a scary movie. The 6 rules of surviving are: don't have sex, don't drink or do drugs, you're done for if you utter the words "I'll be right back," as well as asking who's there. You'll never be seen alive again if you investigate a strange noise, and last but certainly not least, everyone from beginning to end can be a suspect. Number 9, Ghostface is known for his signature black robe, but before recording began, he was originally planned to don a white robe to fit the theme of the ghost mask. Number 10. Speaking of Ghostface's mask, Wes Craven came across a Halloween costume mask that was inspired by the painting The Scream while looking for filming locations in California. He dug the look and took a picture for the prop department to make a mask similar, since they did not own the rights to the original mask to use in the film. People Under the Stairs. Number 11. People Under the Stairs is a creepy and disturbing movie, but what makes it even creepier and more disturbing is that it's based on real events. Wes Craven was inspired to write this film after hearing a news story about burglars that broke into a house. When authorities arrived to respond to the burglary, they had discovered children locked inside rooms by their parents and had never been allowed to go outside. Now that's truly terrifying. Number 12. Wes Craven made sure to include nods to his previous movies in People Under the Stairs. In the movie, the tape recorder played a skewed version of Now I Lay Thee Down to Sleep. This is a reference to Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street, where Nancy said the popular prayer before she prepared to meet Freddy Krueger in her nightmares. The prayer makes 2 other appearances in Wes Craven's movies. It's repeated in the scene in The Last House on the Left, and the title, My Soul to Take, is a direct quote from the prayer's last line. He took this seemingly innocent sounding children's bedtime prayer and made it quite creepy. The Hills Have Eyes. Number 13. The Hills Have Eyes is said to be one of the most disturbing films for its time. In fact, the original version was so bad that when Craven submitted it to the MPAA for a rating, the film was given an X, which usually was reserved for porn. This rating would have obviously limited its release and impacted its sales. So Wes Craven edited the film to receive an R rating. Unfortunately, we'll never get to see just how truly grotesque the first version must have been, because it said the original director's cut is nowhere to be found. Number 14. Even though we aren't able to watch the original version, it's reported that Wes Craven had revealed he contemplated the idea of actually having the baby killed in the film, something no movie would dare even to think to do. His twisted idea never came to be because the cast and crew were so enraged with the idea that they threatened to quit if he went through with it. Number 15. Many people have connected quite a few links between The Hills Have Eyes and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In fact, the similarities were intentional because Wes Craven was a huge fan of the film. He even used some of the same props, all in an act of what he considered homage to the fellow iconic horror movie, New Nightmare. Number 16. The huge success of Nightmare on Elm Street led to a plethora of gory, awesome sequels. Before making the 1994 installment New Nightmare, Wes Craven sat down and watched all of the previous Elm Street films. By the time he was done watching the 3 movies, Craven claimed that he was bothered by the plot inconsistencies. He went on to say he felt the sequels didn't live up to the original and were weak in comparison. Number 17. Wes Craven used New Nightmare to reassert creative control of the franchise and depicted Freddy more how he had originally intended. He made Krueger more menacing, much less comical, and updated his appearance. I find it very interesting that Craven wasn't too fond of the dark comedic side of Freddy, considering that's such a huge part of the character that fans love. I personally think Freddy's ability to make pervy remarks and laugh as he rips someone apart much more frightening, because it shows just how little humanity he actually possessed. Number 18. In New Nightmare, the scene where Heather is dialing Robert's house number on the phone in the car. The music tones that are played when she presses the buttons is the same as a Nightmare on Elm Street theme. I love these tiny hidden gems, so I thought that was pretty neat. Scream 4. Number 19. In Scream 4's gag reel, it was revealed that the cast and crew had an ongoing prank on set where somebody dressed in the Ghostface mask and would jump out and scare the actors. When doing a scene that didn't have the killer appearing in it, the actor would open a door or turn a corner not expecting someone to be behind it. They would then be quite surprised when somebody in the mask would jump out. On at least one instance, this prank was pulled on an actress during a scene where she was scripted to be chased by the killer. She rounded a corner and met an unscripted appearance by Ghostface, making her reaction of pure terror genuine. And number 20, though he did go on to produce and appear in a couple more titles, Scream 4 would sadly be the last movie Wes Craven would direct before passing away. If you're looking to watch an awesome horror movie, especially this Halloween season, you absolutely can't go wrong with picking a Wes Craven title. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up. And let me know down in the comments which was the very first Wes Craven film you ever watched. And if you haven't yet watched one, which one seems the most interesting to you? If you're not yet part of this fantastic community, well, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join today. Until next time, bye!